Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, welcome. Thank you for your service. Good to see you again.
Sir.
In your written testimony, you stated that, quote, "We cannot be successful in this endeavor by investing solely in active missile defense capabilities. We must strengthen and integrate all pillars of missile defense, including the capability to defeat adversary missiles before they launch." Building on this point, as you know, currently America's missile defense systems are limited to ones that intercept missiles during the mid-course, when the missile is coasting in outer space, and in the terminal phase, once it's entered back into the atmosphere. But the Missile Defense Agency has noted, quote, "Intercepting a missile in its boost phase is the ideal solution for a ballistic missile defense, since destroying a missile during this phase of its flight precludes the deployments of any countermeasures and also prevents the missile warhead from attaining the velocity necessary to reach its intended target. As you know, the greatest challenge in targeting during boost phase is that a missile is only in boost phase for a very few short minutes at the beginning of the flight. This requires sensors that are able to quickly detect a missile launch and relay targeting information. A study conducted by the Hudson Institute and a senior review group comprised of 2 former Missile Defense Agency directors, 2 former NORTHCOM commanders, the former Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, among others, stated that, quote, "An SBI capability would dramatically augment U.S. terrestrially and sea-based defensive capabilities, reduce the demand on current systems, and provide the United States with the optimal vantage point for destroying enemy missiles, regardless of their launch or target location, whether on land, at sea, in the air, or in space." Given the metastasizing nuclear threat from North Korea, given Iran's relentless pursuit of nuclear weapons, the growing development of anti-access area denial capabilities in the Persian Gulf and the South China Sea, and great power competition in space, the case for urgently pursuing a space-based intercept capability has never been stronger. Recent investments from China and Russia in missile technology, like hypersonic glide vehicles that circumvent our current missile defense architecture, further underscore the potential value of a space-based layer for the boost phase. General, understanding that the MDR is forthcoming, can you share some of your views on the path forward for developing the architecture necessary to make boost phase defense a reality?
So, as the commander of STRATCOM, I've been on the record as supporting the requirement for boost phase intercept for the entire time I've been in command, and I've supported that for many years now. I would love to drop a missile back on somebody's head that launched it. It's really that simple. I think there are multiple ways to do that. I think the most important piece of the puzzle that you described is the sensor architecture that you need in order to target it. I'm a huge supporter of building space-based sensor elements to be able to target against all of those capabilities, as well as hypersonic capabilities, other capabilities in the boost phase, to get after a number of those issues. The actual technical solution, I'm agnostic for. I've worked, in my past, I've worked space-based interceptor solutions and space-based sensor solutions. I'm convinced that space-based sensors are absolutely required. I'm not convinced at this time that space-based interceptors are required, but the requirement is there. I will advocate for that requirement. I think there's technologies that we can talk about in a classified session that can meet that. I think space is an element of that overall architecture, but the most important thing is the requirement for boost phase and left of launch, and I think the Missile Defense Review will talk about that in more detail.
What specifically is required? What's needed to get this accomplished, to make boost phase intercept a reality?
So I think that the department has to decide to integrate the number of different programs that are out there and come up with a point. I think the leadership in the department right now is the perfect leadership to do that. I know Dr. Mike Griffin. I know that he's looked at that technology in the past. He's only been in office now a few weeks, but that's been important to him for a long time. I think Secretary Lord, Secretary Shanahan, I think the Secretary of Defense support the boost phase construct. So I think what we're going to have to do this year is we're going to have to align all of the elements that are out there and make sure we realize it's not just the interceptor. It's coming up with the entire approach to dealing with boost phase intercept and get after that. And like I said, I think the Missile Defense Review will get to it in much more detail.
So what can or should this committee do?
I think the key is look at the Missile Defense Review. The Missile Defense Review will describe the approach of the nation and the department and how to do that. And then we'll have a discussion about, okay, what's good, what's bad, where do you disagree, and we'll have that discussion as we go through the year. But we really need the Missile Defense Review to start that discussion.
Very good. Thank you, General.
Thank you.